You get to hear in these environments how I try to explain what's going on. People either want to jump to violence, jump to screaming and shouting and threatening to hurt people, or they want to start spitting advice at me. I need advice, I need somebody to listen. And there's these disgusting animals who run everything as far as getting assistance when you're being harmed. The majority of them are women, and they're not going to listen. Yeah. Uh, yeah. Just fucking. Just, that's all I wanted to do when I left Virginia. Go and order Colorado music. I need to finish that. I missed what was left of their lives because they didn't care who hurt me. All my loved ones died. My predators were treated like the victim. Literally not one of my friends until Andy Singer. Almost 4 years after Natalie was killed, Andy Singer finally wanted to collect some of the evidence. And I got recordings with her about it. That's how long it took for somebody that I personally knew to actually give a shit and take a look. Like I had literally been to prison on false charges by this point. Do you know what that's like? When police have so much power, they can have you literally locked up in prison for trying to turn them in. When for 18 months, you're bounced back and forth between dual Sheriff's Department and the state troopers, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth for 18 months. It's nobody's job, nobody's job, nobody's job. When Scott DaCosta and his department do wrong shit, I got to go to Scott DaCosta, who says I got to go to the state troopers. Sends me to Scott DaCosta, sends me to the state troopers. back and forth. And finally, state troopers say they're going to send somebody. They're actually going to recognize my safety issue for once, especially with Scott DaCosta, but who comes knocking on my door? Scott DaCosta. This is not okay. This is a blatant abuse of power, but nobody cares. None of my so-called loved ones give a shit. They don't want to hear it. Everybody says they don't want to hear it. They don't care. They don't care. Then they get fucked up on substances and want to tell me how to think and how to feel and what to do and where to go and how to spend money I don't fucking have. No, this is not okay. No, you do not get to blame me for this. It is not acceptable that I am forced into this situation. It is not okay to blame me for it. It's not my fault that alcoholics don't hear shit. It's not my fault that I'm getting pawned off on junkies. The professionals who are supposed to do their jobs will not do it. A friend or family member needs to fucking give a shit. I'm fucking sick of it. I'm sick of the bully. We got this person who doesn't even have a real name, calls himself Multiverse Space Media, wants to say that's a lie. No, it's not. You prove to me. Prove to me that I'm wrong. You prove to me that I am wrong. Prove it. It says he's a good, honest man. Usually that means self-righteous. A lot of ego wrapped up as humility. I want to believe you, Stephen. Person type, not here, sir. My name is Sean Schwartz. Long-term abuse and neglect. Neglecting the victim, neglecting the abuse, neglecting the evidence results in more. I've had to do some desperate things to try to get heard. Somehow, magically, the things that are done to me, they're somehow not illegal, but it's illegal if someone pretends that I'm doing those things. That's right. How many of my predators threatened to kill me over and over and over again? Made multiple accounts to gaslight me. And nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit that these people's bullshit was allowed in court and that they didn't even have to verify their existence as a human being. Tara Johnson Miles was a fucked up person. Now, there's a lot of people who saw how fucked up this was. It shouldn't have ever been on the internet. It shouldn't have ever had to go that far. The cops should have done their fucking jobs instead of treating me like I'm a fucking retard because I'm homeless. Same thing with every other goddamn person who wants to talk over me and give me advice. That denotes you're treating me like I'm a fucking retard. That's exactly what it means. Now, my email address is doggedroman@gmail.com. Just type my email. Not here. Get hold of emails. That would probably be useful. Not forcing me to do it here like this. This is fucked up. How many of these people who said they would keep in contact actually have? You know, I'd like to hear a kind, familiar voice instead of this shouting and hating. That's a terrible feeling. I can't believe we're I don't give a shit about your philosophical bullshit, dude. I don't give a fuck. I don't. You wanna tell me you're a good, honest man? Oh, you type men, so there might be two of you there. You might have multiple personality disorder, or it might have been a typographical error. Now, how am I gonna run with it if I'm a fucking asshole? Oh, well, this person typed men, so of course he must have multiple personality disorders. He's mentally ill. He's probably a rapist. I bet you he looks like a child molester. See, that happens when you how quickly it happens. It's not just rudeness. It gets people harmed. All because somebody wants to twist something into something that ain't. I made videos about how wrong it is to kill people. And people whose friends and family had threatened to kill me pretended I was threatening to kill them. Did not have to add any sources. Just make people up. But none of you actually care. This type 5 is doesn't work if you tear down those trying to help. I'm using you as a fucking example, asshole. Now I'm tearing you down. I'm giving you a tiny taste of what I have to go through to understand. I'm not saying you're raping kids, dude. I'm not saying you're fucking forcing yourselves on people's grandmas in the nursing home. That's not what I'm saying in the least bit. I'm not doing this to tear you down. I'm doing it because you can show that you're a good man or you can show you're a piece of shit. What you're showing is piece of shit. You're making a bunch of blank statements that don't mean shit. You're not becoming familiar with the situation, and you're not trying to understand a simple fucking analogy. What you're doing is showing me you're a piece of shit. So stop being a piece of shit. Now you notice how that right there, that cursing, how that gets your attention. Why does it have to be that way? Why is it that when I'm trying to talk to you, please stop pressing the heart button. I don't know how to turn it off. If I did, I would. Thank you. Damn it. There's got to be a way to turn that off. Serious. I'm overwhelmed. I'm I need to thank you. I'm cared about people wanting to do the work. I need people to stop doing that. There are people who get on the channel just to antagonize me, and there's a lot of them. And I need them to not have the ability to do these things. I need someone to help me so that I can do this without being overwhelmed. Now, please help me. Someone, please get into chat and help me to turn off that little thing. thing because 'cause I'm tired of it popping up, the little faces in the corner. I just want it off, okay? I just want it off. That's what I want right now is for that thing to be off. I would like to be able to have a conversation with someone if need be. That's not going to happen. I'd like to be able to tell my story without somebody trying to turn it into a conversation, or even worse, a conversation about them, trying to make me feel like I'm a horrible fucking person because they promised to help and didn't keep their word. I can tell you, if you're a good, honest man, you have nothing to fear from me. When somebody's being victimized, they shouldn't be forced to go to the internet ever. When they try to get you to look at evidence and help them to turn it in, do it together. Do not make them literally send you thousands of hours worth of work before you lift a fucking thing. And when they ask you to stop doing something, please respect their fucking boundaries and stop. I'm not talking about nitpicking stupid shit here. I'm talking about you doing a harmful thing. And when you are asked to stop doing that harmful thing, you wanna become selfish, all right? Who gives a fuck about your story? All right, let me ask you a question. If your daughter is fucking raped, are you gonna talk about yourself the whole fucking time? No, you're not. You're gonna listen to your daughter and you're gonna fucking call the cops right away. I use that example because it's an example of a heinous crime, but it's not the only type of heinous crime, and it doesn't just happen to your daughters. Meanwhile, overwhelmingly, the people most likely to harm your children are you, the parents. Meanwhile, when you do harmful things to other people because you're irresponsible, you proved you're irresponsible by getting messed up on drugs and alcohol, having unprotected sex, and now you got a kid. And then you want to talk about how responsible. No, you're absolutely not. These are the things that I have to deal with out of people who pretend that they give a shit about. But if they gave a shit about me, they wouldn't talk about themselves nonstop. They wouldn't think that telling me some fucking pretty meme or making some generalized statement is help. And that's the thing that's so horrible about going to a friend or family member when everybody has already shown that they're not a friend or family. I thought I had good friends up until October 18th of 2015 when I hurt my back. I am now disabled. I'm also abused because I'm disabled, and my predators have gotten away with everything that they have done, every crime that they have committed by calling me mentally ill, pretending that I made it all up. Meanwhile, I have the evidence immediately, and I could turn it in immediately if I had a friend or family member to help me turn it in immediately. However, it is long-term abuse. It is coordinated abuse, and that coordination, these people are so brazen, they openly brag about doing so. I put this thing right here over the camera because it doesn't matter what I look like. What matters is that person's gonna keep on popping that little thing right there no matter what. Anyway, multiverse space, media space, no, that person's not gonna help me, they have to go. I don't have any interest in somebody like that getting on here and calling me a fucking liar. Get the fuck off my channel, you piece of shit. You're not a good person. You're an accusational asshole. I'm an equalitarian. The reason that I'm being an asshole to you is because you're being an asshole to me. Do you understand that? What I'm telling you are guidelines for how to fucking shut your goddamn mouth and listen to a victim one-on-one instead of making them go to fucking YouTube. When you wanna stop and interrupt my story repeatedly to say, "Well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you shut the fuck up?" You have any idea how much abuse I have to take because I do this live? Because I don't have a friend or family member in real life who gives a shit. I have people who pretend to give a shit, but then yell at me every time I try to tell them what's going on. Or they wanna start giving me this whole diatribe of bullshit. "Oh, we're not gonna let that happen." Well, shit, it keeps on happening. You're not helping me turn it into the police. You're not doing it together with me. If you are, you're certainly not saving any evidence, and you're getting pissy with me if and when I require that evidence because you have required me to spend so much time sending you stuff, but you just bullshit me. I am expected to believe you, or you will get abusive, or you will make false insinuations. Oh, you want my help? No, fuck you. Fuck you. The more accusational you get at me, the more accusational I'm gonna get at you. The more names you call me, the more names I am gonna call you. That is called equal. Do not fucking be a goddamn piece of shit to a fucking victim and then play fucking victim when they spit that shit back at you. Knock your shit off. Don't ask what you can do. And then when I start telling you, you start on the same bullshit. No, knock it the fuck off. Don't call me friend and then get on there and fucking do that shit again. You're a fucking piece of trash, dude. Get the fuck off my goddamn channel. And then you type this more retarded shit about you. You type that you're a fucking nobody. You know what? You are a fucking nobody. Do you know why? Because you type shit like that. You're a fucking pussy. Get off my goddamn channel. This is not AA, you fucking twit. You are not a good fucking person. You are a fucking coward. And your words are showing that right here and right fucking now. A good person is not going to take somebody else's personal hell and make it about them. I don't care if you subscribe. I care if you're actually a good person and you're not. You have no self-esteem whatsoever. None. No self-worth. You have already designated yourself to the fucking trash pile. You literally put yourself there. You could have been somebody. You could have been somebody helpful and useful. You could have been somebody who tried to listen one-on-one. You could have been somebody who didn't just hop on here and start typing excuses and typing about themselves. This does not help stop abuse. This does not get you familiar with the victim's story. And in addition, it's not just gonna be you in here typing at me. Now, thank you for typing the settings stuff. I will have to wait until I'm done with this to be able to do that. But here's the thing is that this video is 25 minutes in. You're making it about you. And that person who's typing, pressing the spam button over there for the smiley faces and stuff is still doing it. And I still don't have a friend or family member in person who is sober. I still have nobody trying to get familiar with the situation who's actually going to lift the goddamn finger to help turn it in right away. All these people who tell me that my life is at risk, from Mandy Singer to Claire Jordan, these people can all recognize it. Why the fuck don't they make a goddamn call with me? Every single one of these people did the same thing. Claimed that they would, never made an effort. And when they claimed that they did make an effort, months later, they had no proof. They expect me to dig up evidence while I'm in this situation. And that's not acceptable. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to take my words down. I said what I said, and you typed what you typed. What are the chances that you're going to go delete some of the shitty things that you typed? Because you didn't realize they were shitty, you just erased the evidence. There's a good chance of that. A lot of people do that. Instead, own up, fess up to it, and then we can move on. But if you're going to get hung up on one little thing, which calling me a liar seems to be the thing that you're hung up on, you don't want it to be insinuated that you're not a good person. My channel is not a kid's channel, by the way. You type too well to be a child anyway. But probably type to me that you're 12. And in that case, you should probably get off my channel. One of the things that people like to say, I want to call you friend. How about you get to know me and whether or not you be my friend? That's a terrible feeling. I don't believe we're doomed to the bad, though. Go for a bit. Substitute soon, friend. No, we're not friends. Not even acquaintances. I'm not here for people to subscribe to my channel. I'm here to get help turning abuse and turning evidence of abuse. I don't need somebody to argue with me like literally everyone else because that shows you're going to assume that I'm retarded and talk over me like I'm retarded. Well, maybe you didn't think of this. Maybe you didn't think of that. No, I'm telling you that literally the only thing that works is turning it in with a friend or family member and telling me, oh, well, I'm in a different state. That doesn't matter. I'm a disabled adult. It doesn't take an idiot to figure out that this is wrong and illegal and immoral. But you have to listen to my story instead of making it about you. What do I propose that you do? I propose, number one, that you stop calling people fucking liars. Number two, respect their boundaries, even if it's on a YouTube channel, because we can block you. This is my channel. I can get rid of you like you're trash. If you want to treat yourself like you're trash and start making it about you and how trashy you feel and how much you feel sorry for yourself. All right. If you're being abused and that's your problem, yeah, you absolutely need support network to help you to turn that in, especially if you're a male, based on the fact that you're calling yourself Steven, it's a pretty healthy assumption that you're probably a male. However, I know females who have the nickname of Fred. I know more than one female named Sean. This person typed over is harassing him. Hope he stops. Fred types multiverse. You're absolutely right, Fred. You should have a real name too. Instead of when I'm telling you my story, I'm telling you the problems that I have. Instead of trying to type how to fix it, understand that I am overwhelmed. That's why I'm on you. I'm overwhelmed because I don't have a friend or family member to listen one on one. Actually, listen. Listen as if I am a victim of abuse. When I show you the evidence of the victimization, recognize that abuse. Once you have recognized that abuse, you can call different places with me. You can also type up letters and make sure that you send a copy to me. There are instructions that help keep the victim and the evidence safe. One of those things is to send it to multiple people at once, not one at a time. Let's say you have a safety issue with the local police department and the local sheriff's department, and you have to send it in to both of them, and you have to send it in to the state trooper's office, Nebraska Attorney General's office if it's Nebraska, or the equivalent here in Oregon. Make sure that you put on a local media station and a major media station. And also make sure the victim is in that. That way, anybody who that is sent to is going to see that they're not the only ones seeing it. They're not going to get to just blow it off. They're not going to get to pretend that it doesn't exist. None of these people are taking my situation seriously, and as a result, I am still being. And when I have a mental breakdown from this abuse, the people who are abusing me get to pretend that I've done something wrong. As often as people are harming me, and with the majority of the people who are claiming that they'll help me get drunk on drugs all the time, or it really just comes down to a bunch of violence. That doesn't help anybody. That's the safety of my evidence, the safety of my vehicle, which no longer runs. The fact that all of my disability money has been ripped off from me repeatedly. This little thing inside is. Don't stop. Damn. The hell is Take a picture of subscribers go. It doesn't matter. It matters turning in the evidence to go first. Pros help me out. All right, so multiple media types another generalized comment that doesn't do shit. Just shows that he's not a good person. He doesn't listen, doesn't respect boundaries. This is called small talk, and it's bullshit. It's always bullshit. Always. That's a generalized statement. That generalized statement doesn't stop the ongoing abuse. A generalized statement doesn't do shit. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. You just need to love yourself. Give it to God. Give it to Jesus. Give it to the universe. Give it to Muhammad. Light and love. None of this stops abuse. They're just saying. When you say it's just words, what words are you using? Huh? Because there are a lot of harmful words. Guess what? Falsely accusing somebody being a child molester or a pedophile or a rapist or a murderer could get them killed, and often does. When you do that just because you're angry, that's pretty stupid. When there's literally no victim at all, but you're going to make those allegations and assault people over it, that's pretty screwed up. Type and don't fret over money. Doesn't stop the abuse. Telling me not to have emotions, not to have worries. Shut the hell up. That shit only works in your mommy and daddy's house. Once you get out into the real world, you realize there are things that are harmful to say. It's harmful to make it about you. It's harmful to make generalized statements because generalized statements are made from generalized assumptions, and generalized assumptions show bias. When somebody is physically assaulted and you tell them they just need to love themselves, you have not assessed the situation. When they're repeatedly enduring physical violence, you certainly have not assessed the situation. Now, as far as you wanting to claim that it's a lie, the title of my video, you can have that belief all you want, but you're not proving otherwise right now, not even close. You make generalized statements and lies. You claim that I'm lying with no proof. Does doing a good deed make you a good person? What, by definition, makes you a good person? Pawning it all off on God, does that make you a good person? Pawning it off on the universe, does that make you a good person? Calling the victim names, does that make you a good person? Making it about you, does that make you a good person? Now you notice, right now, while I'm talking nicely, it's still about you. This is all about you because you have made it all about you. This person types another generalized statement. Stop trying to disprove everything. You can't find the right answers looking for falsehoods. You know what? I'm not going to put 25 cents into a talking head to hear that shit. I certainly don't need it on my YouTube channel. What we've got here is somebody who wants to argue and be a contrarian and be an asshole and not get any of it redirected right back at him. Wants to treat people in a certain way and doesn't want to be treated that way back. Doesn't want to hear my story and is right now eating up the fact that this person, Steven, calling himself Multiverse Media Space. You're eating up a lot of attention. You're eating a lot of important time. This doesn't make you a good person. This makes you a selfish person. This makes you somebody who requires a feeding of the ego, and that's what I'm feeding you right now is your ego. We are making it about you. Stop trying to disprove what somebody says to me. Oh, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. If I was just assaulted and I need help turning in that assault, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush is a stupid thing to interrupt me and say. When you're in so much of a hurry, this is how you show whether or not you care about somebody. Are you going to make the time to listen? The more rushed you are, the more questions you get to the point. Well, I stated the point at the beginning. Always do. I'm being abused. That's the point. I need help turning it in. That's the point as well. That means with me. That means that when you do so, that you save evidence that you did so. Instead of expecting me to believe your word, there's a reason why I don't trust any of you. You don't show me you're good people. You show me you've made a lot of bad assumptions and that you want it to be about you. And every time I stop and make it about you, you're going to get defensive. Well, you made it about you. And I'm allowing it to be about you for a reason. Because right now you're still doing the same thing you were doing before, making generalized statements. You typed a lot of stuff here. A lot of stuff that makes me question some of what you're typing. Somebody's looking over your shoulder. You suspect they may own the channel. Do you think YouTube is looking over your shoulder? They own the channel. As far as being safe, yeah. Let me show you something about safe. Let me show you me in the Dalles, Oregon. We'll go to YouTube. On my telephone, of course. When you automatically start blaming the victim, you don't know what the hell's been going on. You're just automatically blaming the victim because you jumped in the middle of something that you don't know jack shit about. All of a sudden, you think you know everything as if you're God. That exposes your ego. That exposes your assumptions and your bias. Like, does it matter to you that I'm disabled? A lot of people, they just want to type at me, go get a job. Isn't that your win all, beat all of everything? When you're abusive to a homeless person, you just tell them to get a job and magically you win. You get to feel superior. It's not okay. Oh, St. Vincent de Paul, City of Dalles, Oregon, files public nuisance action against Vincent de Paul. Columbia Gorge News. Yep, that was a year after I tried to show what happened there. Many situations just like this one. I guess I should do it this way. That's Jamie. She pushed it, so I got out of the vehicle. Make sure I recorded it in case she did it again. That way there's actual evidence of it. She's tiny too. He runs up on her and socks her on the back of the head. At least 30 people there. I'm the only one who said a thing.
People hitting people. That ain't okay.
She walks away while I get his attention.
All right.
The video is called
Schwartz.
Jamie Again.
Sean Schwartz. It doesn't make it okay to hurt people.
I use a beat on her face. Joe, shut the fuck up.
Public nuisance.
I'm scared for her, and I'm scared for her.
That's my family, all right? That's my family. I'm part of this fucking family right here.
Part of this family. What is he talking about? He's going to say everyone's not mental here. This is the police's excuse for harming us. We're mental. Our public pretenders' excuse for not doing their jobs because we're mental. This is the hospital's excuse for not doing their jobs. We're mental. We're assumed to be mental. And even street people, when they're pissed off and they want to take their aggression out on somebody, are they going to pick on somebody their size? Oh, hell no. This guy's going to pick a girl half his size and sock her in the back of the head. That's literally what he just did. Then he wants to use family. Family. It's street family. Fam. Somebody comes up to you and wants to call you fam and say, hey, fam, you ain't my family. You want to call me family? You got to prove it. If you're going to call me family, be family. And I'm not talking about your family. You went on streets too. I understand you're desperate. Your family is abusive to you. So don't be that kind of family. Be the kind of family that looks out for your brothers and sisters instead of socking them in the back of the head for being mental.
No one's not mental here. No one's stable here. Nobody.
And that's why I'm trying to get help out here. That's why I've been going through all of this evidence.
He didn't throw a piece of burrito at her. He socked her hard enough. I'm probably easily 70, 80 feet away, if not more. He fucking straight socked her in the back of the head. You can hear it in the video. You do the same thing that everyone else does when somebody's being victimized. I tell you, this isn't an appropriate place to communicate with me. I'm here to show evidence and try to get help one-on-one. When you try typing to me that, oh, this is a bad place to get one-on-one help, you goddamn right it is. By one-on-one help, I don't mean continue typing your bullshit sayings at me. A bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. You just gotta love yourself. Whoever is harassing him will be stopped soon. That's an assumption. So many people type that light feather crap. Oh, if I type something nice, I type positivity. No, 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 no. You're making an assumption. This does not help the situation. Instead of making an assumption, get actively involved. If you are a good person, you're going to do the same thing that a self preserving American is going to do. And what's that? To fight for our constitutional rights. My rights are violated often and frequently. And everyone blows me off as far as turning it in. Help me to turn it in right away. If you can't help me to turn it in right away, do it as soon as possible. Not after 3 weddings, 4 funerals, 6 illnesses, and terminal cancer now. Eventually, your excuses get old because I get treated like I'm a liar. Just like these people in real life. If I try to turn it in, I get treated like I'm a liar. Meanwhile, being stuck in these kind of environments makes it so that I'm unable to function. All I can do is call you, right? All I can do is go public with it. Now, understand that I have to learn to trust you. Because of all this other crap that goes on, I need to know that you're not just some troll. That means not hiding your first or last name. That means not hiding your phone number. That means not making false claims that you can't back up. If you say you called the cops about it, record the phone call with the cops. Record the things that they tell you. Don't waste my time typing a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush BS. Don't type me this assumption that everything is going to be all right. This assumption that these people will be stopped. No, they won't. Not without you getting actively involved. My predators harm me, call me mentally ill, and automatically win. All the way up the line. Nobody wants to hear me. I got a question for you. Would you be the guy who literally can't even run, standing up to a dude twice your size in this scenario? How good of a person are you? Let me tell you this before you answer. What I judge as a good person is Jesus H. Christ, right? Or Jesus H.W. Christ if he ever comes back. Bad joke, but whatever. No, I don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, except in the way that he says that we are all the sons of God. And that's only if there is such a thing. As a scientist, I don't rule out the possibility of a God. For all these people who tell me they're Christian, I want them to repent in case there is a God. I repent. Now let me ask you a question. as far as a good person goes. Would Jesus chase you with a whip? Did he strike them or did he chase them? Am I even capable of chasing somebody? No, I'm not. That's the thing about every one of these predators who wanted to get in my face and put their nasty cock beaters on me. Every single one of them had the option of going the other way, of leaving me alone, of avoiding me, whatever. They chose not to. If you're walking down the street and you see somebody raping a child, you're going to do something, right? You know right from wrong. You're walking down the street, you see somebody beating on a homeless person, a homeless man in specific. You don't intervene, do you? When the cops show up, you don't try to tell them what's really going on, do you? You just assume that the police are going to properly sort it out, don't you? Not when you're homeless, not in America. This place is nasty. People are allowed to actually put their nasty cockbeaters on me repeatedly, and then they play victim afterwards. Mr. Multiverse tried doing that. Wanted to take an example that I was trying to make, and I made it very clear that I was making it as an example for him to understand. But it very much became about him being defensive. And it didn't need to be. You could take it as a lesson learned and we can move on. Instead of typing generalities about money and like literally you've blown off everything that I say with some pretty saying. A lot of y'all want to confuse being nice with being good. Not even close. Being nice, that's what a used car salesman does until you have the car off the lot. That's what a preacher does when some of the other people in the congregation think you're weird and they're complaining about you being there because you're weird. Yeah, that was my sister's church. Yes, my sister is very weird. So the preacher talked to her nicely, let her know they didn't want her there anymore. That's nice. It's not honest. It's certainly not ethical and it's not moral. But all of you are trained to do that for self preservation, and somehow self preservation makes it okay for you, but it makes it wrong for me, doesn't it? You want these rights, but you're not going to fight for them for anyone else. I'm going to type something here in the comments for you. This is a poem for you to read. It's about you. It's about all of you. It was written by a world World War I German submarine captain. World War II, he was a preacher and a survivor of Auschwitz. Martin Niemöller, when they came. When they came for the socialists, I did nothing, for I was not a socialist. Or I said nothing, I apologize. When they came for the communists, I said nothing, for I was not a communist. When they came for the trade union, the reason that there is over 8,000 videos on this channel is because I still don't have a friend or family member that shows can be trusted without downplaying and diminishing everything I say. If you're going to make the audacious claim that I'm a liar because of the title of this video, then prove to me that you are, in fact and indeed, a good person. When that man shoved her, I got out of the vehicle and started recording it in case he did it again. I encourage you to watch the entire video. Yes, I diffused the situation afterwards. The man also admitted to killing a person, or claimed that he killed a person. He also assaulted and insulted and kicked a disabled man off the property because he looked like a chimo. Excuse me? What does a chimo look like? In most cases, your mom or your dad. And there's so many of you who are going to get butthurt and insulted by that. So many of you parents going, well, I would never. You know what? Statistically, yeah, you would. There are 29 million men in America alive, statistically, who were survivors of sexual assault and or abuse before they were 18. My apologies, I've been eating quite a bit and drinking me a bit of coffee. I'm very well educated on the abuse because I am a survivor. And because as an adult, I chose to be the voice for many other survivors. And you have to be the voice for those survivors. You cannot force them to do it themselves. You cannot postpone it repeatedly. No matter what your excuse, you find time, you make the time. And you do not talk over the victim. When you finally make the time to listen to them, do not turn it into a conversation about you. Do not get condescending with the pretty memes that you believe make it okay. All right, well, I said this pretty meme, so that problem solved. Next problem, oh, another pretty meme, that problem solved. Oh, go in by yourself, that problem solved. Oh, I can look this up in 5 minutes. That problem solved. No. When somebody's been going through this for this long, they've already looked that shit up. They've also looked up the fact that it's misleading. You go on to Google about the mandated reporter stuff, they intentionally neglect a lot of things, like the disabled, both mental and physical, what our rights are, or what to do in the case of us being abused. Many of these mandated reporters, you get to hear them saying that they have to go to their superior and their superior tells them a lie. I'm not telling them to investigate the police. When I try to tell them about the abuse by law enforcement, I'm not telling them to investigate it. As mandated reporters, they're required to write it down and to turn it in. No matter who it is. If a police officer rapes your daughter and you have to call CPS about it, or any other agency, let's say your husband's the local sheriff, he raped your daughter and he's friends with every goddamn person in town. He's also running around town saying that your daughter's schizophrenic and that all you do is get drunk and do drugs. And he's going to have to file for divorce against him. Yeah, you got to go to somebody else. There's a conflict of interest there with everybody that you're going to need to go to. Every deputy, every officer, the DA's office, victims assistance programs. Meanwhile, because there are bodies, every single one of these mandated reporters who heard me tell them about the dead people committed a felony in their duties. They created a public health and safety risk by treating me in a manner not in accordance with the law, preying on the fact that I can't get a civil lawyer, that I have to live on a fixed income that is not enough to live on. My money for the month is already gone. Meanwhile, Bryn didn't come through. Claire didn't come through. There's a woman here named Grace. She could help. There's another man here. His name is Zane. And he could be a much bigger help. But none of this makes any difference as long as I am stuck in an environment where I am being abused. Physically, emotionally, financially. When I'm subject to what's known as modern day slavery. Anyway, this is attached to my phone, so it'll probably shut off as soon as I leave here, but I'm hoping it'll stay recording. Ooh, digging up the Neolithic Britain. That's very cool looking. Oh, I'm gonna pee. Let's hope it stays live and reconnects with the library, right? Oh my god. Fuck. Gotta try to conserve the connection on my phone. One should understand that I don't want to yell at anybody. I don't want to scream at anybody. But people not only yell and scream at me, but they physically assault me and they destroy my things. They steal my things. They harm me over and over again and tell me that it is my fault. And that is literally not okay. That is unethical and immoral. To repeatedly interrupt the victim, to tell them it's their fault. You don't like the title of this video? Well, this title of this video is meant to be evocative. If you're going to come on here and you're going to make the claims, prove it. People who want to get on here and tell me that they got an uncle or a cousin or somebody who's an actual real good officer after I say there are no good cops. I ask them to prove it and they never do. Anyway, I got to move on. I got things I need to get taken care of. I got 2 of these now. It's a little icy spray thing. They're nasty, and I don't want to eat them because they're nasty. But they come apart and they look like a warp nacelle from the original series Star Trek. And that's just cool. So I got given one of these, and I got one on my own. If I ever had a time where I didn't have this cord stuff holding over my head and these predators constantly at my back and in my face, I might be able to do something that helps me to get my mind off of this, but I can't. And going to the door forces me to face these people, forces me to stand up to people who harm me as a group. Damn right I speak up. I will continue to do so, as it is my right to do so. I always thought it'd be cool. My favorite ship in all of Star Trek is the Ptolemy class. Just one diagram in one Star Trek movie. It's beautiful. It's a transport tug. When I started playing Star Trek Online, I thought to myself, that would be the perfect vehicle for outer space. You could change the pods out. You could decide, hey, I'm going to use this ship as a cargo carrier, transport a bunch of grain across space, give it some colonists on a place similar to Mars. I was thinking to myself, on a ship like that, you'd want to have a lot of tractor beams. You'd want to have a lot of excess warp power because of those tractor beams. So I was reading about it. I read, well, they were, of course, these are fantasy, right? This is what we do to try to separate ourselves from our own reality. You have some problems at your home. You don't feel that your voice matters. Don't tell me your voice doesn't matter. My voice doesn't matter. But I'm not using it as an excuse not to use my voice. And you're showing that you want your voice to matter. You're typing here because you do want your voice to matter, and you think that you're nobody, and you're absolutely not a nobody, and neither am I. The people who are harassing me, you can help to put a stop to it. All of you can. Now, my idea for the USS Ptolemy, as well as making a TV show, they've got all these different things in Star Trek. When you're transporting stuff to Starbase, you're going to transport a lot of different things, aren't you? Heck, you might even be transporting parts for massive ships to a shipyard over Andoria or Vulcan or nearby them. By the way, there were Vulcan Starfleet ships, which is pretty cool. You know what they look like? Starfleet ships. So, my idea is there's a story on Star Trek Online. Now they've got a different Ptolemy because they've got a not an Odyssey class. That's the upgrade. Olympia class, one of the ones with the big bulb on the front. It's like it kind of looks like somebody took a Christmas tree bulb, one of the ornaments, and attached two of these kind of lighters to it, and that's basically what it looks like. Though it's the Ptolemy class, it's got big containers underneath it that can attach. Imagine the fuselage on the original Enterprise. Well, instead of it have a sleek design that it had, and the little dip cup in the back and all that, imagine if it was just one of those pods that attaches to the neck. I thought on Star Trek Online how great it would be to have different pods. The Ptolemy could carry up to 3 pods, optimal at 2. It'd be cool if they'd allow you to have the USS Ptolemy as a ship in the game. Even though some of them were supposedly without any weapons on them whatsoever, which are my favorite ones. There's a lot of effective stuff that you can do with it. I always thought it'd be cool, with all those extra tractor beams and all that extra power. Why not just push missiles out of the way? Better yet, point them back at the person who sent them at you. Use them around your ship as a perimeter, as mines. You're going to shoot it at me? Better not come any closer. But I was thinking my scenario that you've got this ship, it's got 3 of these containers on it. It's going from Earth to this other place where they're making ships, it's taking parts for bigger ships, and has a Constitution next to it. Of course, you would want one, wouldn't you? You wouldn't want to just tug it along. If you did, you'd want to do it in convoy. One of the things here in Star Trek often is distress calls from civilian freighters getting smashed by Romulans, Klingons, Ferengi, Bajorans, and everybody. Everybody hits civilian targets. And Starfleet is expected to respond. Now, we have some stuff here in the real world. We don't have a Starfleet, do we? We do have a local police department, local government. And the real test of time as far as Star Trek goes, the testament of politics. Gene Roddenberry was not only revolutionary, but he was a revolutionary. His understanding of logistics, while not on par with most generals that we're aware of every day, he's got a pretty good understanding of logistics. Part of logistics, where are your troops going to stay? Well, apply these logistics to you as a person. Where are you going to stay? Where is your supply line going to come from? How far do you have to travel to get to your supply line? Now, some of y'all automatically go to drugs when you hear the word supply line. Some of you all automatically think of a whole bunch of trucks because you were in the military. I'm a truck driver. Where your mind goes, especially in typing, I don't have any control over. If I make a generalized statement like the title of this video, it's meant to raise some eyebrows and it's meant to ruffle some feathers. Are you really a good person or are you going to make it about you? Why am I still on Claire's side despite the fact that I used the C word for her yesterday? Here's something cool I made. Lawn darts is recycling old CO2 containers. So what I've done here is I've taken some string, God, my hand hurts, and I've taken a nail. Now, once it's already spent, I had to, I can't remember where I picked this one up. There's a bunch of them. I have some that are like this, and I have some of them that were the ones from, you might recognize these pink ones from Starbucks. I take some of this string here. I'll show you what it looks like. This is one of the things about I'm locked up. Got to do a lot of things. I actually have a book that I made in jail that the pages are made out of lunch sacks. The glue is made out of the breakfast. Sometimes we got hot cereal, and when we got hot cereal, I'd use the remnants of the bowl as glue to paste the cover and all that kind of stuff. All right, the way I made the back end for that, I took it like this, 2, 3, or even 4 fingers. I went 4. Put your thumb on it. Now, this is something that with nerve damage is difficult to do, so I make sure the first winding goes over the string. I've wound it a couple of times. What I do is I see where these 2 strings are dangling, and I try to pick it right in the middle. I'll put one around and I will put the other one around the opposite way and then cross them over and do one more around, and then I can pull them tight. When I pull them tight, that kind of locks the strings from coming out of place. And then I can tie what's called a square knot, which is not easy to do. It's one of the simplest knots and one of the best knots out there. The slip knot and the square knot are the two best knots in existence. Problem is, I have to use my mouth with no teeth because I have no strength in my right hand, or I have to find something to wedge this in and squeeze it between my thighs. So we'll do that. I have a door hinge here. I'll take the door hinge and I'll squeeze it between my thighs and see if I can tighten that up. Not too much more, but what do I expect? In order to do the square knot, you have to do that way. So now we've got it dangling there. What we're going to do here, find the nail of the right size, take it, insert it through the. I'm going to have to. What I did earlier, I highly recommend not doing because I have to do this one-handed. I'm setting it on my knee and I'm pushing the thing through. Now these I actually learned from a I believe George Sprov slingshot channel. I could be wrong about that. He makes something similar. This is just me being broke and improvising. But he did his with CO2 cartridges. You take this nail, and once you've pushed it through, and actually insert it into the hole in the used cartridge. Then you take some super glue and you glue it in place. Now once it's glued in place, here's my scissors. I really should be using a razor if it's light. You can use with well, I'm safe, kind of like when to push it through onto my legs. Now, I used to have a leather pad. It was real cow leather, and it was that thick. Probably about that thick. It would never been split. It was the best stuff in the world. Anyway, what you do is you cut it here at the very end. When you pull it, you put your scissors through all those loops and just cut the end off. And then since all the strings are furled, they're wound, what you're going to want to do is take your comb, and I can't find my comb now, and you comb it from the very ends, and then you go a little bit back every time you comb it, and you pinch it close to where you're combing. And what it'll do is it'll unfurl all of it. I guess you would use them for slingshot ammo. With the ones that they get at Starbucks, those are the perfect size to shoot out of a CO2 gun. The what do you call them? Paintball guns. I wouldn't recommend it. It's too heavy, and it literally breaks your paintball gun. Some of them are heavy duty enough you can get a few shots out of it, but just the novelty of it isn't that great. Mostly it's so that you have something for playing games, like lawn darts. You notice after going through all that, how I went to a few things that I'm interested in, things that I like working on. I like making the world a better place. I like the idea of peace. I like the idea of taking things that, well, I'd rather not be shot by a paintball. That doesn't sound like fun. Playing lawn darts with something that's not going to stick in the lawn. That's nice. It's also not very heavy. If you wanted it to be heavier, you could, I suppose, drill out the hole a little bit bigger and fill it up a little bit at a time with some sand or something. I don't know. I'm never showing um, slow mo and ballistic stuff, shooting CO2. They made some of those on Tauflater mouse. It didn't fire so well either. It's not exactly accurate. It's not something that's going to go any decent range. It's something that's going to fuck up your gun in the long run. A lot of the things that I currently practice and play with, I learned from other things. Like some of the things that I'm learning about scratch posts, um, fuses, different type of concoctions that can be used for rocket fuel. A lot of those don't need to exist. Now there was a time where I had a thing on my channel called Trash to Treasures and Airplane Enthusiasts on Facebook. The group still exists, by the way. But there's a lot of stuff that I put on there. My hopes and my dreams. A lot of the ideas that I'd had and proof that I could show people that other people had already done these things. It's not something new. It's not something impossible. It's not something that no matter how much these people in the naysay, I don't want to hear you anymore. That's negativity. When you tell me that turning it in together is not going to work, that's negativity. When you tell me to do something that I've already done, that's bossing me around. That's showing me a lot of disrespect. Oh, when you say things like we need to do better, that's just a saying. You just need to love yourself. Are you diagnosing this person as being abused because they don't love themselves? My voice is not heard. That doesn't mean that I'm a nobody. When you type that you're a nobody, that's not helpful. Because I want to cover it because it's something I do, like write a story, A7 thing, maybe. I thought to myself, let's imagine the Ptolemy is, of course, this happens, and you got yourself a nice, according to the lower and Star Trek, that's Ptolemy, and figure out how to get home. I don't think what said that it take place in outer space on a Federation ship. I thought that particular exploited of everything in Star Trek, the original series. It should have been commonplace, maybe not on the fringes. Like I can understand why right next to the Romulan neutral zone, you would probably want to tell your own traffic to stay the hell away from there, just in case you drift. Now, despite the ethics and politics involved in Star Trek, and I am being abused frequently and often. I want to believe, and she said that she would help me, that they're going to neglect involving politics. Unfortunately, it doesn't give them a full story, and they use it as to ignore the abuse. We cannot have that. I gotta go get some supplies.